Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 23 My Team Career Mode. This is episode number 54 today for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in Season 3. It is the penultimate round of this season, so this will set up the finale, but last time out, we had an electric one at the Qatar GP with the sprint and the main race, an electric start for Oscar Piastri, a crucial one really for him as he was chasing down Max Verstappen in the championship. Red Bull went long in that race to try a one-stop as they didn't have too much pace around Losail, and in the end, Piastri versus Verstappen happened onto the last lap of the Grand Prix. The two title rivals swapping positions, Piastri making the two-stop work, as did we. Into the final corner, we managed to snatch second place and a few less points for Max Verstappen, a few more versus him for Piastri, and it means now Oscar Piastri has a 3-point lead going into the final two rounds. But for us, that second place was less so about Verstappen and Piastri. It was more about us as a constructor, because look at the right-hand side. We are now level on points with McLaren in the Constructors' Championship. Every point really mattered, so, I'm not really thinking about, getting in the middle of the title fight. I'm just thinking selfishly about the team, as we have done in the last few races. We've been quite selfless in terms of, sometimes a Link Gasly by helping him get the better result, and solidifying, a 4-5 at Monza, a 3-4 at Canada, those kind of results where I was, very, very happy to accept the lesser position to maximize the team points. Last time out, though, in the full race, it was my time to shine, to get that second place podium, and going into the final two rounds, I'm looking forward to it. I usually go well at Jeddah and then Abu Dhabi. You just never know what is going to happen in that finale, and that's why I would like to try and actually fully take the lead of the constructors going into Abu Dhabi, just to feel a bit more comfortable about that team championship. And then obviously for the driver's side, Max and Piastri, either one of them will love to be in control of the title fight going into Yas Marina. It's going to be interesting though, since I think like Austria, Silverstone, where Verstappen's had all the momentum, and then in the last two races, Piastri has really put a stop to that, because it could have got out of hand. Verstappen could have ran away with it in this second half of the season, but he's really stopped that and turned the tide again on Verstappen. But the Red Bull car, when it's in clean air, is a very, very quick beast. I think that was the problem at Qatar. Difficult circuit to overtake her, and both Red Bull cars were down the order, so they all got stuck in traffic. So let's see how it goes here in Jeddah. Of course, for us, we just try and maximize our position as we look to try and outscore McLaren, and we'll just kind of see where that filters out to. And on Saturday, at least in Q1, it's going to mean that Gasly is P1, looking mighty strong. He's just got so much good focus, I think, in this last part of the season. Verstappen's up there in second, Piastri fourth. We have some time to find, but Q1 generally still trying to wind things up and get into a groove, I would say, with the car, with the circuit. I think for me, Jeddah is very much like Monaco, where you really have to get used to it, get into a rhythm, getting close to these walls, maxing out full throttle, little lift here and there, dancing the car around. It's definitely one where you have to zone in and dial into it as you go on through Saturday. So Q2, this is where we can really show maybe our hand and our pace that we have across the line. P6 at the moment, behind Verstappen P5, Gasly P4, so still some time to find and some rhythm to find as we go purple in the first sector, getting oh so close to the wall on the exit in sector 2, and looking to find some more time through the final corner. Oh my god, we nearly half spin it into the wall there. We catch the car. We're still going to be 4/10 up, and we're going to drag ourselves outside of the top 10, into the top 10, into P8. Gasly P6. Piastri now looking, what the hell has gone on there? Mighty quick. He's the only man in the 120, nearly 122s, 123 dead, nearly 7/10 ahead of George Russell. That must be a bit of a glitchy simulation time, to be honest, because Verstappen's down in P7 along with myself and Gasly. So let's really see what we've got to show in the top 10 shootout here in Q3 as the checkered flag falls. We've already set one lap time, but it was on a scrub set of soft tyres because I had to use two in that Q2 session to actually get through into this session. So unfortunately, this is my one and only proper lap, but it's shaping up to be a pretty damn good one. Purple first sector, green the second. This time, no mistake in the final corner, and we'll almost gain nearly just over a second on that banker lap to get us up into this second row but Pierre Gasly, again, time and time again this season, he has done the better job than me on this Saturday, and also, to be fair, on the Sunday as well. He is on pole position, showing again that final ultimate brake upgrade really did transform this car for me, but more so even for Pierre Gasly. But Oscar Piastri doing the business in second place. Verstappen is the one chasing in the championship, and in this race tomorrow, he's in P5. Let's go to the grid.
We've got fast sweeping corners under the lights and 20 racers all ready to write their name into the quickly growing history of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So let's take a look at the topographical map of the Jeddah street circuit. As you can see, a number of challenging corners for the drivers to master here. We'll see just how much the teams have benefited from their time spent in practice this weekend. And like many street circuits, this track has the potential to punish drivers that get it wrong. Let's hope we avoid any safety cars today. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. A fantastic effort from Pierre Gasly yesterday puts him on pole position, and Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have the owner driver, Russell, Verstappen, Bottas, Norris, Leclerc, Mick Schumacher, Sainz, Ocon, Fernando Alonso, Albon, Ricciardo, Perez, the owner driver, Magnussen, Hulkenberg, Sargent, Liam Lawson, Stroll, and Yuki Tsunoda. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
It certainly does feel like a very important race, this second last one before the finale, but it's a different vibe, not really feeling like we're in the driver's title fight. You know, it's more just, again, I'm really backing, I'm hoping Gasly can just waltz away in P1, and then I will try and maximise my position, whether that's getting ahead of Piastri, staying in third place, whatever the case. I just hope that we can both score well, outscore McLaren. You know, the fact that Bottas is outside the top 5 is a good thing for us. You know, it's basically one McLaren scoring the biggest points in the last few races, which makes our lives easier. But for those guys, Piastri and Verstappen, the pressure must be wild. 3 points between them, and it could change. It could all change in this race into that final one next time out. So here we go then, the penultimate race of Season 3. We go to 5 red lights, to the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We're underway. It's a good start for Gasly, but Piastri equally so. Pierre has to cut him off and go across to the left-hand side to defend, and that's nearly opened up the door for us to go into second place using a bit of battery on exit. But look how quick that McLaren is off that corner. Time and time again, we've seen that with the McLaren and the Red Bull, especially at the start of the races, I feel, on heavy fuel. They're so quick out of these corners. I think it's just a bit of traction difference, maybe a bit of, you know, OP AI-ness, I think, at the start of the races. You know, generally when the fuel comes down, we get a bit quicker compared to the AI. So again, they're quick. Piastri bolts ahead in second and looks to maybe chase after Pierre Gasly by lap 2. He's within 0.4 of a second or less, and Verstappen is only 0.2 behind me. He's going to be a threat for sure for third place. So he's already done well. He's overtaken George Russell, who starts on a quicker compound tyre than the rest of us. I think he's on softs, whereas the rest of us, yeah, are on mediums. But Verstappen powers past me. We're actually going to stick behind him though, because I've lost 2 seconds to Piastri in only 2 laps, so I'm doing the method that I did in Spa. I'm happy to stay behind Verstappen and let him pull me along to chase after the top 2, who are swapping positions left and right every lap pretty much down this back straight on the main straight. Lap 3 on to lap 4, Gasly leads the way, but this time Piastri I think is going to fully get the job done, and maybe through the final corner. No, Gasly does well to defend, but of course now the Australian has that second bite of the cherry of DRS, and across the line, he is the one who will lead the way into turn 1. Gasly down to second place, and ever so slightly, myself and Verstappen, we're closing up, and by lap 7, 4 laps later, it's like a carbon copy of what happened at Spa. I've caught up to the leaders, all thanks to Verstappen towing me along, and now we're in prime position. We're watching ahead of us, Gasly and Piastri again, side by side. Verstappen is going to pull out to maybe make it 3 wide. We take it nice and easy. We're trying to pick our line. We see a gap, and we're going to go for it, and go for the undercut move. Little bit of wobbliness on the rear end, but we power through with ERS to make a triple overtake for P1. Don't mind if I do. P4 to P1. That's how you do it, lads. That's how you do it. Nice and calm, patient. These 3 going side by side through the first 2 turns. They're too busy squabbling with each other. Even with a bit of a rear end squirm for me, we have enough power to get through into P1 in one foul swoop. P4 to P1. I'm not going to lie. That was pretty damn satisfying, and for 3 other laps we are keeping this P1. On lap 10 on towards lap 11 we are still in first place. Gasly's made it a 1-2 for our team. Verstappen is up to 3rd. He's ahead of Piastri as Lando Norris and Russell trade positions, so you know, pretty soon maybe Piastri might have another Red Bull to bother him, as Gasly now pulls out for the move on me. Verstappen does the same. He's going for the double move. Verstappen trying to get both our cars in one go into turn 2. Gasly hopefully gets the elbows out. Ooh, big tang slapper for us. We are certainly feeling some tyre wear now in this race, and into the next left-hander we get it all crossed up and we undo all of our good work. That was a horrendous mistake. We nearly careered into the back of Piastri, locked up on the front right, went off circuit, and all of a sudden we're back down, well, not even P4, we're down to P5. So we got a little bit too big for our boots, clearly, with that triple overtake for P1, and now we're down even lower than where we started. P5 behind Russell. Russell on the softs, making use of those tyres, but now he's coming in, and we're going to follow him, though, because, the way I overtook them 3 for P1 initially was because they were too busy fighting each other. So my thought was, why don't I come in earlier? I'm going to the hard tyres anyway to the end of the race on this one stop. Russell's going to do the same, but he's opting for a soft medium. I'm doing medium to hards. As we know, again, as I've said many times this season in this series, the hard tyre just works so well for the My Team car. Bit of a slow pit stop getting out of the box, to be honest, as Ocon nearly overtakes us, and we do lose a bit of time to Russell. Just didn't get that pull away I wanted, but I was thinking, if Verstappen, Gasly and Piastri, they're fighting each other as much as they did when I first overtook them, on lap 7, I reckon I could actually get a pretty good undercut. Russell as well probably could as well. I reckon it might be Russell leading the way, us in second, and Ocon even in 3rd maybe, because he's pit with us, but there might be some overtaking to do. We might be able to get ahead of Russell before that even happens, as we try and go from right to left. Very aggressive swooping moves on Liam Lawson and Nico Hulkenberg in the AlphaTauri and Sauber respectively. We make the double pass, and even with this amount of traffic, feeling pretty damn quick. Those mediums were definitely second hand at the end of our stint. We've gone purple in the last sector, even with all that movement to make those 2 overtakes. So we just stick with Russell here, who's on a technically quicker compound, but I reckon we can be quicker than him on these hards. That's how overpowered they have been on the My Team car. I think we can overtake him, and I think looking at the top ladder, Gasly, Verstappen, Piastri, all separated by a second, I think they're fighting hammer and tong, and we can get a worldly undercut. We overtake Russell, aggressively move to the inside to defend, get the elbow out and shove Russell towards the curb to maintain track position. And now, as we come through to a new lap, onto lap 14, we set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and there is Piastri and Verstappen behind us, still coming down the pit lane. They've lost, what's that, at least a second or more, 2 seconds actually, it looks like, if you look at the gap to Piastri to Ocon. So, yeah, that undercut has worked wonders. It actually probably will be myself in the lead, Russell, Ocon, Piastri, Verstappen, and then it's all about where Gasly filters out. It looks like he's got a bit of a bigger gap, 5 seconds to that pack of Norris, Bottas and Sainz, but for me, I've got company. Russell and Ocon are actually looking both really quick. Both of them, I think, are on the medium tyres. Yes, they are. So both of them on a quicker compound, and at this stage, they should be a little bit quicker because their tyres won't be that worn out, and Russell is showing just that. very aggressively going around the outside, nearly put me in the apex wall, to be honest, in the last corner. I had to back out of that just to make sure there was no contact. But we're going to power past him on the inside. Gasly is now in, so he will be behind us, but I think he may just come in between or ahead of Piastri and Verstappen just about. Yes, Gasly's done well. Our teammate's done well. He's gone longer in the race on those mediums, and he's come out ahead of Piastri and Verstappen. We maintain first place, but it's Ocon in second place in the Alpine, and the Alpine is actually pretty damn quick, because with DRS on this in this middle sector, he actually goes and overtakes me, and I'm trying to play a bit of a cat and mouse game, because I know I'm going to get DRS on the next straight if I let him pass. So we kind of let off a little bit earlier, let him go into first, bit of a false sense of security. And then we're going to go for the repass with DRS. The crucial thing is, though, I need to get a good enough exit off the final corner to make sure I can stay ahead or try and get the elbow out, which I try and do here. I actually let Ocon by again just to get DRS. So it's all just about playing these little DRS games here at Jeddah with where the placements are for the detection point. So we get back ahead into first place there. That was the plan all along. And meanwhile, Gasly has overtaken Russell, so he's into third place. And Russell now is actually being swamped by Piastri, who gets into P4. Verstappen in P6, the one who's chasing the championship. He's behind Piastri still, so there's still some more chasing to do in this race if he wants to turn the tide of the standings going into the final round of this season. Oh, that curb. I hate that curb. I absolutely hate that curve. It's not the first time that's caught me out in this series. I think the last time actually was probably Season 1. We got lucky in Season 2 not to ever be a nuisance with that, but in Season 1 that got me all crossed up in qualifying, I think I remember. Here it's got me all crossed up in the race. Just once you get on that, it's such a high curve. You just literally get catapulted like a skateboard on a little ramp. And so we've had to try and go and follow Gasly for the re-overtake for second place. But I'm a little bit, well, not worried, but I reckon Gasly now, because he went like, what, 4 laps longer than me into this race. He's got 4 laps fresher hards. I think he's going to have a lot of pace. So I think my best option is try and get the DRS off him, try and pull me along as much as he can. But I reckon he's going to have me here. He's had me a lot of times this season when he's in clean air. He's been a brilliant and very quick a teammate, to be honest, to have, and he's a major part of why we're able to still challenge McLaren for the Constructors' Championship despite not being in the Drivers' title. As we see on lap 18, though, what's happened to Oscar Piastri? Verstappen's up to P4, and Piastri is looking so slow. He's just been overtaken by the second Red Bull of Lando Norris. Piastri down in P7, Verstappen up in P4. If it ended like this would be great for Verstappen. He would take the lead of the championship going into the final race. What is going on with Oscar Piastri? Does he have damage? It didn't look like it on the front wing, whether it's floor damage or something, or just a lack of pace or tyre wear, we don't know. But he's actually looking a bit closer to his own teammate than Lando Norris up the road, as Verstappen now makes a crucial pass for his championship up into third. And this is quite ominous now, because Verstappen, as I've said before, like Gasly, in clean air, he's been rapid, and he's now got 2 seconds to catch to me. Plenty of clean air. He stays ahead of this pack of Ocon, Russell and Norris fighting, as these three are now 3 wide into turn 1. Lando Norris going for the double pass on Ocon and Russell. Brilliant battling going on between those three. Verstappen's bolted away, and now he can try and chase after me. And meanwhile, Piastri is just stuck here watching that 3-car battle, thinking, what do I need to do to get past these 3 cars to limit the damage to my championship rival right there, who's in third place now with clean air and is already nearly a second behind me, as we just do not have the pace to stay in DRS of Gasly. He's waltzed away lap 22. He's 7.5 seconds ahead of me, and I'm leading a massive train. I'm not looking that quick now without any DRS aid. It's not the same sort of pace, really. It's the frustrating thing about Jeddah. As we lock up into the final corner, we get flustered a little bit behind the rear wing of Verstappen, and now have to make a repass on George Russell. It's really frustrating in Jeddah. You lose a lot of momentum just not being behind the car. It's really counterintuitive, but you honestly want to be near a car, even with the dirty air, because it will just pull you along in sectors, 2 and 3 with the longest straights. and I just don't find that much pace driving by myself. And the proof is here of the way Verstappen's caught up to us, and the proof is also here. Once I'm behind Verstappen, I actually suddenly have the pace to catch up to him, because it's just that's how powerful the DRS is. So we re-overtake him for second place, a little bit deep into turn 1, so we have to drift the car a little bit to try and defend against the Dutchman, and he's going to remain in third place. It's still Russell P4, Ocon P5, Norris P6, and Piastri still down there in a woeful P7, just ahead of his teammate as we continue to battle Verstappen, and again, on purpose, trying to play this cat and mouse game of letting him forwards, and I think we just did enough to get DRS off him. So even though we're ahead of Verstappen, we've got DRS on him because we were just behind him at the detection point. But this is going into the final lap of the Grand Prix. Russell now is into third, and annoyingly, I'm now DRS-less into the final lap. So Russell may overtake me, and maybe, to be honest, we want him to overtake us so we can have a chance at repassing him in that final sector, and that's what we do. We don't put up a fight, and we're going to stay in third place as we see Ocon getting past Lando Norris. That Alpine, actually, all of a sudden this race has been really, really quick and a nuisance to everyone around it. And, well, Norris has managed to stay ahead in P5. Meanwhile, Gasly dominating this one. Once again, it's a superb performance from our teammate. 8.7 seconds ahead. It's going to be another win for him this season. He's actually done a better job than me, to be honest, for this team. I'll put my hands up, but I've been a big team player, I think you'll agree, in previous races, to still be here on the podium. Scoring points! Lando Norris locks up! He locks up! He makes a mistake! He goes wide! Ocon through into P5, but crucially, Piastri will get at least one position more in this race to finish up in P6 potentially. That will limit the damage to Verstappen, who is in P4, so that'll be a couple of points Verstappen will gain. I think Verstappen will take the lead of the Drivers' Championship going into Abu Dhabi, but Piastri has maybe just done some damage limitation by keeping his head cool and overtaking that position, whilst Verstappen's teammate makes the mistake. As we do the same, we keep our head cool, stick to the game plan. I knew DRS would be there as Pierre Gasly wins again in Season 3, and it's another 1-2 for this team at a crucial point going to the final race versus McLaren in the Constructors. This was a perfect scenario for us, for this team, not so much for Piastri, good for Verstappen. It all goes down to the final race in both championships.
They've delivered an outstanding performance today and under intense pressure to take a well-earned victory at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And talk to me. What do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Welcome then to the podium, our top 3 drivers. What a great effort from them today in a very difficult race.
I think, honestly, this season, for this team, it has been Pierre Gasly's season. We signed him for a reason, winning that Italian Grand Prix in an Alpine in Season 2. This is why we signed him. I saw the potential in him on this game. We've put aside any of the, differences we've had from previous F1 games. We've had a really amazing partnership, actually. The amount of times I've helped him out, holding position for, 4th place here, a 3rd place there, helping him win a Grand Prix in Spa inadvertently, and even here, being a bit of a rear gunner and allowing him just to pull away in 1st place means that we score another 1-2 this season. I get the fast lap of the Grand Prix, so one more point there for our team, and so that is going to give us the lead of the Constructors going into the final round at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Verstappen, though, P4, 12 points to him. Piastri scores 8 to P6. So Verstappen will gain 4 points, which means going into the final race at Abu Dhabi, Max Verstappen leads Oscar Piastri by 1 single point. Technically, Gasly and myself mathematically are in the championship fight. I would have to win, and everyone would have to DNF, though, for me to win it. Gasly has an outside chance, and if he wins, and let's say Verstappen and Piastri have a bit of a blunder, they're both down in the bottom half of the top 10, maybe there's half a chance there for him. But realistically, I hope that he is thinking the same as me. Let's just play the team game and bring home this Constructors' Championship, as we're ahead of McLaren going to it, and that's been the goal. This this entire second half of the season, as soon as we realise we're out of the fight, just solidify it. Because if we still pull off this Constructors win whilst pouring in 9,000 minimum R&D points into an engine build. Also now we know with the R&D reset, we have to put some R&D points towards that. I think that's a pretty incredible achievement considering how many R&D points we've not spent on this season's car. But guys, if you have enjoyed this one, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. And you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.